The Reform candidate was booted from the party for daring to read between the legacy media lines and research Tommy himself, like everyone who does, quickly realising he's not how they describe.
So Richard, tell me a little bit about you and why you're here today.
Well, as most people probably won't know, that I stood in the general election for Reform as a candidate for Stourbridge. Okay. And I've been very disappointed since the election. And like a lot of people, I thought Tommy Robinson was a racist, because that's what the mainstream media tell us. And a lot of people in the election asked me, do you support Tommy Robinson? I said, no, I don't support him. But then after the election, I started looking into him. And I did my research and I watched a couple of his documentaries. And obviously Tommy's not a racist. So I felt the need to come out and do a video about that and apologise to Tommy. And he saw it. I never actually thought he'd see it, but he did. And he reposted it, and Reform dropped me as the spokesperson for Stourbridge. And
was that for just kind of putting out that video and having that link to Tommy?
Yeah, because Tommy Robinson had put, reposted it, and then I did another video afterward. Well, the video I did afterwards was when they dropped me, and it gained a lot of traction. So
what did they say when they dropped you?
Not a lot, really, other than it had been decided by HQ to remove me as the spokesperson for Stourbridge due to my links with Tommy Robinson.
So they actually named him then?
Yeah. It's purely because of Tommy Robinson that I got dropped from Reform. And that to me is very disappointing, because Tommy Robinson stands for everything that Reform are supposed to stand for. And I'm starting to think now that Reform are controlled opposition.
I must admit, I covered the election. I went to the Reform events. They was saying things very similar to what Tommy has been saying, but yet they don't want to kind of associate with him. A lot of people, I think, are feeling disappointed at the minute with Reform.
Yeah, very disappointed. I mean, the people at the top of Reform, specifically Nigel Farage, he knows that Tommy Robinson isn't a racist. He knows that for a fact. And yet, he won't come out and speak the truth. He's insistent on pandering to the mainstream media.
Do you think he's playing it safe?
I originally thought that, but I'm starting to wonder now, because now there are links between Reform and Hope Not Hate, and they've given out candidate details for every candidate that stood for Reform went to Hope Not Hate to be vetted. So Hope Not Hate are, they may as well be called Hate Not Hope. They're the enemy.
A lot of people actually call them Hate Not Hope.
Yeah, they are the enemy. They are linked to Antifa, and they're not very nice people.
Why do they have so much power with people in government?
Well, I think it's because they're basically controlled by people in government, and we know that the people in government are also not really free actors, are they? They're controlled themselves, and they're all part of a big club. Conservatives, Labour, red puppet, blue puppet, same puppet masters. And I'm starting to think now that maybe Reform are part of that system. I don't know for certain.
Because, Reform, they've been vocal on freedom of speech, but yet they're disowning anybody that is associated with Tommy Robinson. I got an email asking to go along as they wanted to, in my opinions, etc., but I'm linked to him as well. It seems to be like they're okay taking people's money for membership and things, but, they don't really want to get into bed too much with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Reform UK have... Find out. I think they've got a lot of questions to answer, because they are not just disowning Tommy Robinson supporters. Like we saw with the protests and the riots that happened previously, that people who've been arrested for tweets and for, simply being present when there was things happening, Reform haven't really stuck up for them properly.
To be honest, I don't think many people have. I was reporting on the protests, the riots, and I'll be honest, I think it changed me as a person and as an activist to see how politicians and the mainstream media just tell lie after lie after lie and just choke. What I feel, just everybody under the bus, everyone's just being labelled with the same label, far right, racist. Now, don't get me wrong, I know some people have done wrong, some people should be in prison, and that's what today's focus is about, the protests, the riots and a miscarriage of justice. So what do you think, overall about the rioting and how people are being treated?
Well, I think it's disgusting. When you've got sex offenders being given, piss poor sentences, let's face it, and some of them even suspended sentences, and yet you've got people who've sent a tweet. I mean, there was one guy, let me see if I can get this, make sure I get this quote right. He said, he didn't say that. He said that people were talking about the migrant hotels, and somebody said, oh, something about burn it down. He said, well, that can burn for all I care. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a statement of intent. It wasn't encouraging people. It was just, I don't care, basically. And he got sentenced to, I can't remember what it was. It was more than 18 months, I think. Now, when that's happening, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with that comment, but...
It's showing not a prison sentence, though, when rapists are walking free.
Absolutely not, absolutely not. The priority of the government is not to punish criminals anymore. It's to stamp out dissent. Keir Starmer, Comrade Starmer, as everybody is now calling him, rightly so, he is intent on solidifying his hold on power and stamping out any sort of activism against his government. And they are protecting paedophiles in that government. There's no two ways about it. They're protecting the global elite. They're not just pandering, they're being controlled by the World Economic Forum. And it's got to stop. Something's got to change, because if it carries on this way, this country is, well, it's heading for something pretty nasty, I think.
I've been an activist against paedophilia now for 11 years. I've done a lot of exposures on it and a lot of work, around policy and law. But I feel that today we are far worse as a country than what we were 11 years ago with absolutely everything. And I personally don't think it's going to get any better. What do you think? Can we change it around?
I don't know, is my honest answer. It has definitely got worse, and we're bringing in people from countries where the culture is very different to ours, where the attitude towards women and children is not in line with Western values, and it is having an effect, a big detrimental effect. And if that continues, it's only going to get worse. We
know that people coming in on boats, they're in hotels, they're going out, they're raping, they're murdering. We had another story out there in the media just a couple of days ago. How many more people have to be raped and murdered before our government stops it?
I don't think our government will stop it, regardless of how many people get raped or murdered. I don't think it's in the government's interest. The Labour government, they've got many reasons why they want to keep this going. Every immigrant that comes in is a natural Labour voter, for a start, because they go straight on benefits. And Labour are seen as the party of benefits, even though they're, taking stuff from pensioners, but they'll happily give it to migrants. So
what we've also seen as well, we've got landlords and hotel owners, being offered big contracts. They're, getting paid large amounts of money, rent's being covered, any damages, repairs, anything is covered. But yet you don't get that with British born. Why are they prioritising over people that are born here?
Well, it's simple. They want more migrants, and they'll do anything to encourage landlords to house them, because obviously they've got to go somewhere. So they want to bring these migrants in because, as I say, it's beneficial to them, not only for the votes, but because the big businesses and corporates that the government work for, effectively, they benefit from cheap migrant labour when they work. Some do, but we're getting a lot of people who simply don't subscribe to the culture, and I think that's the biggest problem, is the destruction of British values and culture, because the community in this country is breaking down, because the people who are coming in are not integrating. They're not, some of them are not even learning the language. They're creating their own system within the system, and it's damaging the unity of the country. And that's what the elites want. They don't want us unified, because if we're unified and we're happy, we're going to look up. We're going to ask, why aren't we better off? Why are things the way they are? And they don't want us asking those questions. They want us fighting amongst each other. So creating countercultures within these cultures is exactly what they want to do.
A lot of people, said that Keir Starmer was responsible for pouring fuel on the fire with the riots. He was very vocal on protecting only one community, that was the Muslim community. Do you think he played a role in people coming out and rioting?
Of course. I mean, people call it the Farage riots. It's nothing to do with Farage. It is Keir Starmer and I forget the guy's name. Hope Not Hate. You'll remember his name. Nick, that's the one. Yeah. It's basically him and Keir Starmer who caused those riots because they just wanted to protect the Muslim community. And if it was just to protect them, it wouldn't be a problem. But they're venerating them above everybody else. And that is creating a culture of I don't want to say hatred, I think that's a strong word, but there's a lot of people who are, they're feeling a lot of animosity towards them because they are being prioritised over native British people, and that's wrong.
As well, we saw politicians and mainstream media putting out a lot of false information. For example, they said that, the EDL was taken to the streets when the EDL hadn't existed, for about a decade. Why are politicians and the media deliberately putting out such false information? That's common sense. Surely these educated people should know this.
They do know it's false information. They're doing it intentionally because they want to get the moderate people to split. They don't want people in the middle ground. They want to force people to the left and to the right. So by putting out there that it's the EDL, they're trying to create more hatred towards the people on the right of politics, because they are champagne socialists. They want to paint the right as extreme far right, and they want people to rally against it. So putting out the information that's the EDL, like as you said, that hasn't existed since I don't know when, it serves their narrative.
So speaking about problems that the country face, what do you think the biggest problems are?
Well, obviously immigration is one of the big ones. People coming in on the small boats. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from. We don't know their background. There are a lot of criminals there. That it's all men between the ages of like 15 and 40. These are fighting age men who have come from countries that are quite often war torn, and we have no idea what they've done in the past. So that's a big one.
And as well, if you talk about it, you have an issue with it, people are saying that you're racist.
Of course, and it doesn't matter if you're black or Asian and you're talking about it, you're still racist apparently against your own race. It's crazy. It's nothing to do with race. It's the colour. That could be black, white, pink with yellow spots. It really doesn't matter. The fact is, these are undocumented migrants. These are illegal immigrants, and if we don't know who they are, and we don't know where they've come from or what they've done in the past, we have no idea what they're going to do when they get here. And, that's just one problem the country is facing, and that's a big one. But now we've got a lot of external enemies as well. We've got all the problems in the country, but we are on the verge of a third world war now because of this, this shadow government that's operating above the Western governments that are driving policies that are forcing countries against us. And they've been doing this for a long time because they want to gain control over countries such as Russia. They have put a lot of pressure on Russia, and I'm not condoning the war in Ukraine. I went to Ukraine 3 times last year. I'm a big supporter of the people of Ukraine. But we need to take some responsibility for what's happened there, because we were pushing the Russians and pushing them, and we didn't expect them to have a reaction like they did, I don't think. I think we thought that we could, get Ukraine in NATO and bring another country onto us. The Russians always warned us, it was a step too far, and we did it anyway. And now Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Syria, these countries are all banding together. They're forming an alliance that is dangerous to us, and our government are not taking that seriously enough, and they're operating as if nothing is going to happen, and that's worrying because it could happen. China.
I'll be honest, I've not followed what's going on, so I can't comment on it.
It's very worrying because North Korea are now deployed troops into Russia to go and fight against Ukraine. Now, North Korea have got the second largest army in the world. People don't realise it, but they are quite militarily adept, and I think it's going to create problems for us because they are intent on fueling the war in Ukraine, the Western powers, because they keep filling it full of weapons and stuff, and they don't want to go to the negotiating table. And I can understand why the Ukrainians don't want to go to the negotiating table, because they've got, a portion of their country is occupied. But we had an opportunity to stop this before it started, but they want to keep it going. They want trouble. I don't think they want a third world war, because to be quite honest, we might not win. Everybody thinks that NATO and the West are this unassailable power, and we're not, because we are dependent on Taiwan for about 80% of our microchips. That's right off the coast of China, who have got now the world's largest navy and the world's second largest air force. If they blockade Taiwan, we can't produce missiles or jets or tanks. We're going to be in serious trouble. And they're playing with fire.
So let's bring the conversation back to the UK.
Yeah.
For anybody watching this, is there anything that you'd like to say?
Yes, if you're coming today, stay peaceful and stay safe. They want a reaction. Don't give them one. Don't give them a reaction, because they want to paint us as racists, as thugs, as idiots. We're not. Don't play into their hands.
Richard, thank you for speaking with me, and have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
Thank you.